An alien instructor called humans weak. A cadet snapped his jaw. Mid-sentence, the Galactic Military Academy's training hall. 7 buzzed with nervous energy as cadets from 12 different species sat in rigid formation. Commander Vex Thul, a towering Corthanian with chitinous plates covering his serpentine frame, paced before them with predatory grace. His 4 amber eyes scanned the assembled recruits with barely concealed disdain. "Welcome to advanced combat theory," Vex Thul hissed, his translator rendering his words in crisp galactic standard. "For the next rotation, I will attempt to forge you pathetic specimens into something resembling soldiers." Marcus Chen sat in the 3rd row, his human frame dwarfed by the hulking Gorvani beside him, and the crystalline Zephyrites behind. At 19 standard years, he was among the youngest in his class, one of only 3 humans in a cohort of 47 cadets. The weight of representing his species pressed heavily on his shoulders. "Let us begin with a simple exercise in species. Classification," Vex Thul continued, his claws clicking against his datapad. "Combat effectiveness can be predicted by analyzing physiological advantages. Gorvani, superior strength and natural armor plating. Zephyrites, energy manipulation and hardened crystalline structure. Altarians, advanced telepathic coordination." The instructor's gaze swept across the room, lingering on each species as he cataloged their strengths. Marcus felt his stomach tighten as those amber eyes finally settled on him and his fellow humans. And then, Vex Thul's mandibles clicked in what passed for Corthanian amusement, we have the humans. Fragile bone structure, minimal natural defenses, limited sensory capabilities. Frankly, I'm surprised the Galactic Council even bothers with your recruitment. Your evolutionary rejects, weak, slow, and destined to become casualties the moment you encounter real combat. A ripple of uncomfortable silence swept through the hall. Some cadets shifted nervously, while others watched, the humans with a mixture of pity and curiosity. Marcus felt heat rise in his chest, but he maintained his composure. He'd heard variations of this assessment before during his time at the academy. Sarah Okafor, seated 2 rows ahead, raised her hand. "Sir, with respect, human military history suggests..." "Military history?" Vex Thul's laugh was a rasping sound. "Child, your species has spent millennia killing each other over resources and territory. That's not military prowess. That's barbarism. True warriors like the Corthani understand the art of getting your ass kicked by primitive humans in the Proxima campaign." The words cut through the air like a plasma blade. Every head in the room turned toward Marcus, who had spoken without raising his hand, without permission, and with a tone that bordered on insubordination. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Vex Thul's 4 eyes narrowed to slits. "What did you just say, cadet?" Marcus E. stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I said the Corthani got their asses kicked by humans in the Proxima campaign. 3 full battle groups of your superior warriors defeated by a single human expeditionary force using outdated equipment and improvised tactics." "You insolent little..." "I'm not finished," Marcus interrupted, his voice steady but carrying, an edge that made several cadets lean back in their seats. "You want to talk about fragile bone structure? Human bones are designed for adaptability and healing. We can recover from injuries that would permanently disable most species. Limited sensory capabilities? We're persistence hunters who can track prey across continents using nothing but endurance and pattern recognition." Vex Thul's chitinous plates began to rattle, a clear sign of Corthanian aggression. "Cadet Chen, you are out of line. Return to your seat immediately or face disciplinary." "Weak and slow," Marcus continued, taking a step forward. "Do you know what humans call the gap between stimulus and response? The time it takes most species to process a threat and react to it? We call it an eternity, because while you're busy calculating optimal response algorithms, we're already moving. The Corthanian commander's massive frame tensed, his natural weapons extending slightly from their sheaths. You dare challenge a superior officer? I should have you court-martialed for... Marcus moved. It wasn't the graceful, measured advance of formal combat training. It was something primal, explosive, and utterly human. In the space between one heartbeat and the next, he closed the distance between himself and the alien instructor. His right hand shot forward in a textbook uppercut that connected with Vexthul's elongated jaw with a sickening crack. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent hall as the towering Corthanian staggered backward, his four eyes wide with shock and pain. Dark purple blood seeped from between his mandibles as he clutched at his injured jaw, a high-pitched keening escaping from his throat. Marcus stood in the center of the room, breathing slightly harder but otherwise composed. You want to know what makes humans dangerous, Commander? It's not our physical strength or our technology. It's the fact that we're the only species in the galaxy stupid enough to pick fights with things bigger than us and smart enough to win them. The silence stretched for long moments. Then, slowly, Vexthul straightened. His jaw hung at an odd angle, clearly broken, but his eyes held something that hadn't been there before. Respect, perhaps, or recognition. Class dismissed, he managed through his damaged speech apparatus, his words slightly slurred. Cadet Chen, report to my office in 1 hour. We have much to discuss. As the other cadets filed out in stunned silence, Marcus remained standing in the center of the room. Sarah Okafor approached him, her expression a mixture of admiration and concern. That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the stupidest, she whispered. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. With humans, those are usually the same thing. Through the observation window, Admiral Thorne watched the scene with approval. The grizzled human officer had been monitoring the session, waiting to see how his species' representatives would handle their first real test. He'd seen the same scenario play out dozens of times, alien instructors underestimating humans, human cadets proving them wrong. Another successful recruitment, he murmured. To his aide, mark Cadet Chen for advanced command training. Something tells me the galaxy is going to need officers who understand that sometimes the best response to overwhelming odds is to punch them in the face. In the end, that was what made humans special in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization. Not their strength or their speed, but their absolute refusal to accept that anything was impossible. Other species saw obstacles. Humans saw opportunities. Others calculated odds. Humans defied them. Commander Vexthul would spend the next several weeks with his jaw wired shut, but he would never again underestimate the species he'd once called weak. And Marcus Chen would go on to become one of the most decorated officers in galactic fleet history, known throughout the stars as the cadet who taught the galaxy that humans don't just survive the impossible, they make it look easy.